Imagine this. You're a newly appointed IT leader, maybe just a few weeks in. The ink's still drying on your business cards when, bam, out of nowhere, your company gets slammed by this catastrophic outage and a security breach.
Ooh.
Yeah. And your CEO, who's usually pretty direct, suddenly starts avoiding you, like ghosting you almost.
No.
Instead, you get these cryptic emails full of articles on, cutting edge practices, no real talk.
Right, no actual conversation about what's happening or what you need.
Exactly. So your credibility feels, well, shattered. And your job definitely feels like it's on the line. What do you even do in that situation?
Well, this isn't just some thought experiment. This is the intense reality facing Jim Barton, the new CIO of IVK Corporation. Right as we jump into Chapter 12 of The Adventures of an IT Leader. It's like a masterclass in crisis communication.
Yeah.
And strategic IT leadership under fire.
That's spot on. So in this deep dive, we're going to unpack Jim Barton's, frankly, terrifying communication crisis. We'll pull out the vital lessons by looking at it through those critical lenses we use: organizational, management, and IT issues. Our mission today is really to equip you, whether you're maybe a graduate student in strategic information systems, perhaps even in a course like BCIS 5381, or you're already out there as an IT professional. We want to give you actionable insights for navigating this complex world of IT leadership, especially when the communication just breaks down.
Yeah, because effective communication, it's not just a soft skill, is it? It's absolutely a strategic imperative.
Totally.
And look, if you find the insights we talk about here valuable, or maybe if Jim Barton's struggle just kind of resonates with challenges you face yourself, we really encourage you to think about what stands out. Maybe share this deep dive with a colleague who could use it, or just consider how these lessons apply to your own strategic role. Your engagement helps this whole community learn and grow.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Jim Barton, he wasn't originally an IT guy, right? He came from loan operations.
Yeah, head of loan ops,
Yeah.
a business peer to the CFO, the VP of sales. Then he makes this pretty major career pivot into the CIO role.
And he's barely got his feet under the desk in IT when this disaster hits.
Yeah.
This huge outage and security fiasco.
And it wasn't small. We're talking customer-facing website crippled, core customer service database down. The fallout was instant. Angry customers everywhere.
Big reputation hit for IVK.
Oh, huge. And internally, a very public blame game. 2 senior execs were actually fired. Just like that. Scapegoats, really.
Wow.
And Jim thought he was next. He really expected it. But instead, his CEO, Carl Williams, just gives him this hard, disappointed look and says, just fix this, and then walks out.
Ouch. That's brutal. So Jim's still the CIO technically, but he feels like a total pariah on thin ice. The pressure must have been immense.
Unbelievable pressure. And Carl Williams, the CEO, he isn't exactly making it easier, is he? His reaction, or really his lack of reaction, just cranks up the pressure.
How so? What did that avoidance look like?
Well, his textbook avoidance, that terse command, just fix this, then basically radio silence, no direct meetings. Instead, Jim's inbox just starts filling up with these passive-aggressive emails, helpful articles.
Right, the cutting-edge practices, AI tools, cloud computing, cybersecurity, agile, all that stuff.
Exactly. It felt less like real guidance and more like this subtle test. Like Williams was shifting accountability without actually having the tough conversation. And that kind of behavior from the top, it instantly creates this high-pressure, really uncertain culture, especially for someone new like Jim.
And what Jim's facing here, it really highlights something universal in leadership, doesn't it? That lack of direct, clear communication from the top, especially in a crisis, it just breeds this high-pressure culture where silence gets misinterpreted.
Totally. People assume incompetence or inaction.
Yeah. And this isn't just about Jim feeling awkward in his role, that role ambiguity thing. It's a critical organizational insight for any leader, particularly if you've just moved from being a peer to managing former colleagues, where your team might already be a bit wary of you as an outsider boss.
Exactly right. That initial wariness from his own IT team, plus his old business peers maybe not knowing quite how to deal with him. Now he's the IT guy. Jim was already walking a tightrope. Williams's behavior just threw gasoline on that fire, amplified that whole challenge of role clarity and trust.
So Jim knows he absolutely has to manage up. He has to manage Williams. But what are some of those common, maybe instinctual mistakes leaders make when they try to manage their boss in a crisis? Because Jim thinks through 3 options, and I'm curious about the pitfalls.
That's a great question. It's such a common dilemma when you're under that kind of pressure. Often the gut reaction is either to just disappear and fix it, or maybe to over-communicate but without a real strategy.
Yeah.
Jim's internal debate captures those choices perfectly, and the risks involved.
Okay, so his first option, he calls it the doctrine of completed staff work. Basically, go underground, fix everything quietly, and only pop back up when you've got a nice, neatly wrapped result. What's the appeal there, and what are the hidden dangers, especially now?
Well, the appeal is obvious, right? You look self-sufficient, you spare the boss the immediate drama. Williams might even appreciate having the problem just solved.
Seems efficient.
On the surface, maybe. But Jim quickly sees the huge downsides. In today's world, with information flying around constantly, that real-time information environment going dark is just incredibly risky.
Why is that?
Because news travels fast, especially bad news. If Jim clams up, Williams is likely to assume he's either doing nothing or worse, hiding more bad news. And remember, some staffer was already blogging about the outage. The rumor mill was churning.
Oh.
Plus, Williams was already bypassing Jim, talking to other managers directly. If Jim doesn't engage, the CEO might just fill that communication vacuum with someone else's voice, maybe even start thinking about a replacement. So yeah, going quiet risks losing control of the narrative entirely and shredding whatever trust is left.
Okay, so option 2 is the opposite. Actively increase communication, even if the CEO seems resistant. Push for more FaceTime, send frequent updates, maybe like a daily email briefing.
Yeah, the pros seem clear there. You look proactive, you keep the boss in the loop, you start, hopefully, rebuilding some trust.
But what's the catch?
The immediate challenge, as Jim sees it, is Carl Williams himself. He's extremely busy and notoriously impatient, so forcing more meetings or flooding his inbox could totally backfire.
He might see it as needy
Sure.
or time wasting.
Exactly. Williams could see it as hand-holding or just noise. So the critical thing Jim realizes, and this is key for any IT leader, isn't just more communication. It has to be effective communication,
Right.
meaning high-level progress reports, focus on the business impact, talk about the strategic plan forward, not getting lost in the technical weeds. This really points to a core IT issue. Leaders have to translate the technical stuff into clear business value, especially for non-tech executives.
Makes sense. And Jim's third option, do nothing. Hope it all just blows over. He dismisses it pretty fast as not really a viable plan. But isn't there sometimes a temptation in that kind of pressure cooker to just freeze, hope for the best?
Oh, absolutely. The temptation to freeze is real. But doing nothing, it almost guarantees failure in a situation like this.
Why?
Because in a high-pressure culture like IVK's, silence isn't neutral. It reads as incompetence or maybe even indifference. You're basically giving up control of the story, letting others define the narrative. In a crisis, that's fatal. Nothing gets solved, the underlying problems fester, and yeah, Jim could easily just get pushed aside. These internal debates Jim's having, so common. Choosing the right communication path is just critical.
So Jim realizes he needs an outside view. He reaches out to Maggie, an IT management consultant, also a trusted friend, for some brutal honesty. He lays out his options. Maggie doesn't hold back, does she?
Not at all. Her take on that completed staff work idea going quiet is spot on. She flat out calls it outdated for today's faster information flow. She warns him, if you hide away, you'll lose control of the narrative, and bits of incomplete, maybe wrong information could leak out anyway. And she sees Williams's cryptic emails for what they are, not just mixed messages, but a deliberate test.
A test.
Yeah, like he's flinging spaghetti at the wall, sending these articles to see how Jim reacts. Is he proactive? Can he handle this kind of indirect pressure? It's Williams gauging Jim's leadership capacity.
Okay, so here's where Maggie gives some really powerful advice for managing up. It blends the management side and the IT side beautifully. What's the key piece of advice that really shifts Jim's thinking?
She tells him he has to acknowledge Williams's advice, even if it seems random or off base. Her big insight is to use those articles Williams sends as conversation starters.
How would that work?
Like Jim could go to him and say, Carl, I read that piece you sent on cloud cost savings. Interesting points. I actually think there are some real opportunities for us there, but here's what we need to consider first. See? It shows respect, shows he's paying attention to Williams' input, but then pivots the conversation back to Jim's strategic thinking, not just reacting, but leading.
That's smart. Very smart. And Maggie's gut pick for Jim, it's a specific kind of proactive communication, right? What does she suggest for that CEO meeting?
Yeah, she strongly pushes him to request a one-on-one meeting as soon as possible, even if it's just 15 minutes. And the agenda for that meeting needs to be tight. 3 things.
Okay.
1, acknowledge the gravity of the situation and its business impact. Sure you get it. 2, clearly lay out IT's immediate actions, what they've already done to fix things. Focus on action.
And 3,
3, present a clear roadmap for prevention and systemic changes. show forward-looking strategic thinking. This kind of clear, structured approach is what will help reinstate Williams' confidence. It shows command, not just reaction, crucial in a crisis.
But Maggie's insight goes even further. It's not just about the CEO. She stresses it's not only Williams you need to communicate with. And this brings us right into those crucial organizational issues. What does she suggest?
She tells him he needs to go on a listening tour, or maybe a briefing tour. He needs to talk to his peers Alice Milton in customer service, the heads of marketing, sales, operations.
Why is that so critical?
Because it directly tackles those silos and mistrust between IT and other departments that always seem to get worse in a crisis. Jim needs to go to them and explain in plain language what IT is actually doing. You know, the faster recovery plans, the stronger security, the better processes.
Demystify it, as she says.
Exactly. Demystify IT's actions.
Yeah.
And by actively engaging them, getting their buy-in, regaining their support, well, guess what? Those business peers will also carry a positive message back to Williams indirectly. It reinforces Jim's credibility from multiple angles. It's about rebuilding teamwork across the company and fixing that lack of structure in how IT engaged the business in the first place.
And strategically, Maggie even floats the idea of maybe forming an IT steering committee or some kind of formal interdepartment IT review board for more structured communication going forward.
Yes, and that ties directly into fundamental IT governance frameworks. Think COBIT control objectives for information and related technologies. It's a recognized standard for aligning IT goals with business objectives.
So it's about moving beyond just crisis comms.
Precisely. It's moving from ad hoc reactive chats to a formal, proactive structure for IT business dialogue. This isn't just fixing the immediate problem. It's using the crisis as a catalyst for real strategic IT improvement. It addresses weaknesses in IT strategy and governance. This kind of structured engagement is absolutely fundamental for good IT service management, making sure IT's value is understood across the board.
And what's really impressive is Jim's action. He doesn't just sit on this advice, he implements it immediately, first internally, right? He gets his IT leadership team together, including Bernie Rubin, his infrastructure lead.
Yeah, and he's transparent with them about his plan for Williams. But then he tells them they need to be just as transparent with their counterparts in the business. No jargon, he says, don't hide.
What does that do internally?
It's huge for morale and teamwork within IT itself. That transparency from the top, especially after a failure, is crucial for rebuilding trust within the department. They need to present a united, honest front. Then, Jim tackles that memo to Williams.
The one focused on business outcomes?
Exactly. Concise, focused on results. Upgraded network security to reduce risk, implemented emergency drill protocol for rapid response, tangible actions, clear benefits.
And he cleverly weaves in that forward-looking strategy too, doesn't he? Modernizing legacy systems, looking at cloud, exploring AI for security, tying it back to Williams's articles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he respectfully referenced the articles Williams had sent, gives credit, shows he paid attention. It's a brilliant diplomatic move. It kind of massages the ego a bit, makes the CEO feel heard while still driving Jim's own agenda.
Strategic communication, indeed. And his outreach to peers, like Alice Milton in customer service.
Just as effective. He went to her directly, apologized sincerely, and explained the fixes in straightforward, jargon-free terms. Her response, I do feel better knowing all that, Jim. Let's keep the communication open. That shows it worked. Direct, empathetic communication was key.
And he did that with marketing, sales, operations too. Got positive feedback.
Yeah. Positive feedback, a willingness to support IT's efforts. It was clearly repairing some of the cross-department teamwork that had frayed. And it really drove home for Jim that the weak communication and lack of structure weren't just symptoms. They were a root problem.
Which brings us right back to the strategic use of IT, that BCIS 5381 connection. Jim realizes the crisis exposed more than just the hack, didn't he?
Oh, definitely. He saw that IVK's IT strategy, or really the lack of one, and those aging legacy systems, they just weren't cutting it anymore. It threw that classic innovation versus maintenance dilemma into sharp relief. Remember, they were spending 2/3 of the IT budget just keeping the lights on.
Right.
So Jim actually vows to resurrect those plans for standardization and modernization, including exploring cloud services. He literally adds draft long-term IT strategy outline to his to-do list. Thinking about governance, maybe ITIL processes, cloud, AI, a security roadmap. This is him shifting from firefighter to true strategic IT leader, driving transformation.
What really strikes me here is that Jim's actions, they aren't just tactical fixes for this one crisis. They really do exemplify strategic leadership and those core IT service management principles we talked about.
Couldn't agree more. Jim's own reflection afterwards is so telling. He says leadership is fundamentally about building relationships and trust. He basically adopted a service management mentality.
How so?
He started treating his CEO and the other executives like important customers who needed updates and care, delivered transparently, proactively. And that thinking aligns perfectly with frameworks like ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, the best practices for IT service management, and also with agile ideals, transparency, stakeholder engagement, continuous improvement. It wasn't maybe intentional ITIL adoption, but the principles were there.
And as his confidence comes back, that role ambiguity starts to fade.
Exactly, because he's defining his role through clear action and effective communication. He's demonstrating his value.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you as an aspiring or current IT leader listening to this?
I mean, the core message couldn't be clearer, could it? Communication. It's the most important tool in an IT leader's toolkit. Full stop.
In crisis, in calm times.
Upward, downward, sideways across the organization. It doesn't matter. It's the absolute bedrock for building trust, for getting organizational alignment, and ultimately for driving success, whether that's in day-to-day IT leadership or in bigger digital transformation efforts.
Well, we really hope this deep dive into Jim Barton's challenging journey has given you some valuable insights into just how powerful communication is in IT leadership, and hopefully connected it to the strategic challenges we explore in courses like BCIS 5381.
And remember, your engagement really does make this community stronger. Please share your thoughts on what resonated with you from Jim's story. Or maybe think about how these communication strategies could help tackle an IT challenge you're facing right now.
So as you reflect on this, here's a final thought. Jim Barton learned that leadership isn't just about the tech, right? It's fundamentally about people, about building bridges. So in today's constantly changing digital world, how can you, as an IT leader, proactively build a culture of transparent, effective communication? Not just to put out fires, but to genuinely drive strategic value and real digital transformation within your organization.